Hello, and welcome to Guidance for Better Life. My guest today is Molly Comfort, and she's sharing a story that I think many of you will benefit from. Years ago, she was entangled and all tied down in a relationship that just was not healthy, and she saw no way out. And then over time, and with a little bit of God's help, she found a way out that worked for her, and a few other surprises as we go. So I think a lot of folks can get in relationships where they're excessively attached, and the harder they try to fix them, the worse it gets. And I hope Molly can help you today. Hi, Molly.
Hello.
This is a really good topic. I know a lot of people that get in relationships, and this is a male-female. It can be a family member, a brother, sister, parent, a coworker. It's across the board. I'm not just talking about male-female type stuff or whatever. It's not that type of situation. Where the harder you try to make it work, the worse things got.
Yes.
And you used the term you were excessively attached. Like you almost felt a mission, you had to make it work.
Yeah.
And the harder you tried, how'd it go?
The worse it went.
The worse it got.
Yes.
So this was several years ago, and you're free of that relationship now, and I guess that's a good thing. It's not an easy thing to do, but sometimes it's easier to do this, separate, than stay in something that's not healthy.
Yeah.
Can you give the viewers an idea what was going on?
Sure. So this was a relationship with an extended family member.
Okay.
Who I'd known for a long time.
Okay.
And I was very attached to pleasing this person. And I didn't necessarily know it at the time. The clarity came a little bit later.
A lot of the clarity you're going to share today, and I hope it blesses you all, you learn kind of after the fact. So you don't have to learn it. Molly's going to give you a heads up today. Hopefully it'll help.
So I felt like with excessively wanting to please this person in my life, I was kind of blind to how it was impacting my other relationships, including my relationship with my husband, my relationship with myself, and other areas of my life.
So you're basically kind of blind to it? All right, I think that's probably the normal. Did you know something didn't feel right, or were you really completely blind?
No, I knew something was off. It kind of came to a point around Christmas time one year where I was overextending myself a lot. I was saying yes to this person even though it didn't quite feel right, sort of to get together for family events, to offer to help them in certain ways. And I knew it wasn't right inside, but kept overextending myself. And I actually ended up hurting my back around that same time, which to me was an indicator that I'd done too much.
So it's actually now, it was affected your physical.
It was.
Was it affecting you emotionally?
Absolutely. I was very, like I said, I was very attached to pleasing this person. And if I didn't, no matter what I did, it seemed like I couldn't ever please them. So I was very anxious inside and agitated, and had a lack of peace with myself because I felt like I would keep trying to make the relationship better, but it wasn't working.
Did it feel like it was your fault?
It did.
Before you started seeing more clearly?
Before I started seeing more clearly, I felt like the more that I tried to fix it, the worse I made it. And
I think you learn after the fact, which sometimes that happens, you thought it was love.
I did.
And you thought it was love between you that was why you were trying to make it work. And you found out it really wasn't the strong love. It was just this excessive attachment to make it work, but the love wasn't as strong as you thought. Is that
that is
right
absolutely right. I feel like in saying yes, it wasn't necessarily motivated. Like if this person asked me to do something and I said yes,
it wasn't motivated
for the love of it. It was motivated more for the fear of what would happen if I said no. And it wasn't an abusive relationship physically or anything like that. It was, but it's still, I wasn't free I didn't feel
Did
free
you
in the
feel-
relationship.
When you said you were entangled in this, or tangled up, when you're excessively attached, you're entangled. And imagine you have ropes and string all around you, kind of where you really can't move.
Yeah.
When you're excessively attached, it's okay to be attached some, but when it's way out of line, attached to accomplishing something or fixing something that doesn't seem like it's going to be fixed, you just got to do it and it consumes you. You actually, and your story is beautiful, you actually became more entangled. Literally like strings, imaginary strings, were tangling you up.
Yeah. And I wasn't seeing the other options that might have been there to be motivated out of love, because I was like obsessed almost with fixing it and making it right.
That actually came up on one of our retreats last winter. I don't know if you were in a retreat up here at our home with 14 folks. And it's first time it came up using these terms. A friend of ours, Mark, came up with
I
it.
was there.
When you're excessively attached, what did he say you lose?
You're blind to the options.
You're blind to the options. Like you could have all these things you could do to move past that relationship, but you're so obsessed and fixing it and attached, you're literally like blinders on. You can't see your options.
Yeah.
And you fell exactly into that.
I did.
But something changed then.
Yes. So I knew that something was off. Felt like I was short of temper at home more. I was having a little bit more conflict with my husband because of
I think he was struggling with it also.
He was struggling with it also, and I think he was seeing a little bit more clearly at that point.
Because he wasn't so attached. Which is what Mark was saying.
Yeah.
You see clearly now, but your husband was not so right into the situation. He could see it a little more clearly.
Yeah. And I think at that time I was a little bit resistant. It was like I was holding on to something, unwilling to let go.
So you didn't listen too much.
I didn't listen, which caused conflict.
More conflict. Okay. I think people relate to this. This is not unusual. And I'm really hoping our shows bless you all out there and give you some extra thoughts or ideas or something that'll help you out. So I really appreciate you sharing this.
Sure.
So, but something finally cleared up here or changed. You got some help.
I did get some help. I actually came up to a winter retreat here, and I started sharing a little bit about what was going on, and you very beautifully pointed out some things to me that I wasn't seeing.
Maybe things your husband had been pointing out.
Exactly.
But you tend to listen to your teacher more. And I probably, the divine works through me, I probably saw some things or was given some insights. But what did that do for you? That weekend, something started changing for you.
I started to see clearly, and that's like
first step.
A really important first step. And also to take responsibility for what I was doing. I think...
Don't blame anybody.
Yeah, don't blame.
Take responsibility.
Because a relationship is between two people, and even blaming that other person, doesn't know.
I think that's beautiful. Take responsibility for your part in it.
And over the course of the retreat, I was getting more clarity, and then the following morning, we had the opportunity to sing Hugh, a love song to God.
Right. It's just... We do that for maybe 20 minutes. And for those that are not familiar, we talk about the Hugh in a lot of our shows, H-U. It's a love song to God. When you sing that, at least try to sing it, God accepts it as love. And also if you're grateful for something, you can sing Hugh and you know he receives it. Sometimes you just bust if you can't say thank you to somebody. So we were singing Hugh. Yes,
and I was saying thank you for the clarity that I've been given.
But then you probably got more.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
An aspect of the divine gave me a pair of golden scissors. And as soon as I saw them, I knew what they were for.
Golden scissors. I think of gold, God's love.
Yeah. And for me, cutting both my attachment, it was sort of a two-part for me, cutting both my attachment to the person and actually the physical relationship at that time.
Okay.
To not have contact.
Not just the attachment, but it went beyond just a little more space. It went all the way to not being around them.
Yeah.
Now, did you have clarity on that, or did it take a while? Or up here at the retreats, while you're opening your heart to God and all, were you really clear right away that it was supposed to go all the way to not spend time with that person?
I was clear. I was given the clarity for
Okay.
that was the best thing for me.
What did it feel like going from very attached and entangled to having you had the clarity, but was it difficult to accept, or was it freeing, or how did you feel when you got the clarity?
It was freeing at the moment.
Okay.
It was incredibly freeing. By the time I got back home, I still had the clarity, but a little bit of the how is this going to affect different areas of my life came up. So because I felt like I had been given sort of a freedom from the attachment, but it wasn't all the way done yet.
All right.
If that makes sense.
Close, but not all the way
Yes,
finished. Okay.
that I felt like I still needed to do my part.
But at least you knew, you had the clarity to know the situation, and that you were given a gift of disentangling.
Yes.
And the suggestion, it sounds like from the divine, that it's just not going to work, that it's best not to spend time with that person.
Yes.
That part you were clear on, but it wasn't quite operational yet.
Not yet.
Okay, well, that's understandable.
Yeah. So as I was using the scissors, it wasn't a one-time cut for me.
Okay.
I think probably because it was such a deep attachment that I had.
Okay.
I felt like they were a personal gift for me to use
So you
as
used
I
them
needed
multiple
times.
I'm asking, I don't know about this part of the story. I hadn't thought about that. But if you start to feel, it's probably some lingering attachment.
Yes.
Even though you're clear, it's an old habit, if nothing else. Did you find yourself when certain feelings would come back up,
Yes.
you use those golden scissors?
Yeah, especially for the first week or so, but then even beyond that.
Okay, I didn't realize you used them multiple times.
One of the things that I think is important to remember is if you make a choice that's right for you, to not feel guilty about it afterwards, because that, I think, kind of undercuts the choices that you're making to maybe live more in peace or make choices that are right for you. If you then, I just found for me it was important not to feel guilty about it.
If you get away from your back problems and the stress and strain and all that, and then you feel guilty, it's like going from one problem to another.
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing to add is, if you're going to do it and you're clear it's the right thing, leave guilt out of it, because it's almost like going from one fire into another fire.
Yeah.
So that's a really good insight, Molly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, you're going home now. Is that the part? This is like, if you ever heard the man Paul Harvey, did radio and stuff, I'm not sure if he's still around now, frankly.
Sure.
This is 2019. But I remember when I was younger, I'd hear Paul Harvey talk about something. I go, wow. I'm going, wow, that's amazing. And then he'd come back, I think after commercial, and he'd say, now for the rest of the story.
Yeah.
And I feel this is like, wow, the rest of the story.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, you don't want to miss this. It blows me away every time I hear this. So the divine must have been working through somebody else in your home.
Yes.
Somebody very little. Well, not that little, but.
So when I came home, my son had drawn a picture for me.
He's 21-year-old?
No, he's not 21. He's a 5-year-old.
5-year-old.
At the time, he was 5.
That had no idea about the retreat or what's going on.
Yeah.
God gave you golden scissors that helped you untangle all the strings that you tangled up. Yeah. You went home. Your 5-year-old
had drawn a picture for me.
All right, what was the picture?
And on the picture, it was 2 ships.
All right, 2 ships.
2 ships. One of them, he also described it to me as, I could tell what it was as soon as I saw it, but he also described it to me. One of them was a pirate ship.
Pirate ship. Okay.
The other one was a smiley face ship. So it's a ship with a smiley face.
Okay.
And
so kind of good guys and maybe not so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the smiley face ship was anchored all
This
the way,
one.
anchored down to the bottom of the ocean.
Okay.
And there was webs in between the two ships. So there was strings that he had drawn
Between the pirate ship and the smiley face ship.
And they were
Okay.
all throughout,
Lots
multiple
of them.
strings, lots
it's
of
like
strings.
you were all entangled with multiple strings all around you.
Yes. And there was 3 pairs of scissors that he had drawn. And he had never drawn scissors before.
And he had no idea
what had happened at the retreat. And I didn't mention it to him either. My jaw just dropped.
Yeah.
And, it was such a clear sign. I already knew what had occurred was real and true and perfect for me and my growth, and also for the other person, I believe. But to see the scissors.
Now, was he using the scissors to cut the pirate ship away from the smiley
face ship, which had a deeper meaning to me than just the 2 ships, that my relationship with the divine, if I stayed anchored in real love and cut the ties to the unhealthy relationship.
And the pirates steal.
Yeah.
And whatever they do, I haven't been a pirate in a while. I'm not a pirate. But they steal in the movies.
Yeah.
And the relationship was stealing your peace and even your health at one point.
Yeah.
Your energy, your focus.
Yeah.
Stealing a little bit of stuff in your marriage. It was being a pirate.
It was. And my choices in the relationship, not to blame the other person. My choices were, I was sort of giving it away by being so attached.
Have you thought why your 5-year-old, where he got the idea? Because I'm just thinking about that now.
I suppose he was just following from his heart that God was speaking to him. Somehow draw some ships.
My sense is it's too beyond coincidence that the divine worked through your child. And we've seen that before up here. Just God loves you so much. You got what you needed at the retreat and clarity.
Yes.
You got the scissors, which you talked about. And he loves you so much. He had your young 5-year-old draw a pirate ship and a smiley face ship and scissors to cut the ropes between them. I don't see how else it could be, but the divine inspired him to draw that.
Yeah. And it was like any lingering doubt that might have been there was gone. Like there was it was so clear that this was the right choice.
God probably knew there's possibly some doubt.
Yeah.
Or you might backpedal even though you were clear. And then you saw your son's drawing. It's just like...
It was amazing.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Just how much freer I feel now that I'm not entangled in the relationship, particularly even with that person who I don't have physical contact with.
Okay.
I still really wish them well, and I feel like I love them in a truer way now. Because it just...
You may not see them, but you still wish them well, and you love them in a detached way.
Yeah.
Do you feel in a way, you see the love more now? And I'm asking, I don't know. In a way, it's a truer love, a higher love, than when you're just trying to please that person all the time.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And a lot of folks have a hard time maybe understanding that. They think, well, you got to be close if you love them. But actually, it could be a higher, more beautiful love sometimes when you know it's not working, probably for either one, to separate and still wish them well, pray for them, and love them in a different way. So, anything else you'd like to share, Molly?
Oh, thank you very much for letting me share my story.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing it. Very, very cool. And I really hope this helps you. I've taught spiritual retreats for a good 29 years now. And a lot of folks have relationships, they want to have them work. They kind of love somebody or like somebody, a relative, an aunt, an uncle, a mom or dad or something, or a sibling. But they fall into a situation that's just not working. But they feel guilty if they decide to love but separate. Wish them well, but not hang with them. Sometimes when you hang with people, even if you love them, it stirs up stuff, or they push your buttons. They know just which button to push, like an elevator. Push all of the buttons. That just drives you kind of nuts and takes the quality of life away. And sometimes when you get away from them a bit, not always, but in Molly's case, literally separate and don't spend time with them, you can love them in a way without all the problems, and not be all tied up and entangled. So when you think, if you feel like you're really, really attached to something, to pleasing somebody or making a relationship work, the more attached you are, the more little ropes and strings and handcuffs are on you, literally entangling you in the situation. And like Molly, if you can step back and get out of it for a while and take some scissors you can make up yourself, but basically not be so attached. If there's love there, you'll recognize it. And if there's not really love, it was something else, then you also recognize that and be better for it. I hope this helps you. I really do. Thank you so much for watching.